Takes care of itself.
And then he takes the permaculture principle of stacking farther.
We try to also stack different things when it comes to structures. So we have the roof is guttered to a tank in the back, so the water for livestock is generated right here. On the front, we have bat house for pest control. On the front, we also have a rabbit hutch. There's still a rabbit in there. This is the first winter that we have not had chickens. We've had chickens all along, so we've been here for 11 years now. And if you got an element in a system, a chicken, for example, chickens need some water, they need some air, they like to scratch, they need some food, and so if we can give them an environment where they do what comes naturally, and then use that to accomplish some work, some useful work, what we do is we throw all kinds of compost over the top. Think about this, the whole concept of making compost. You go get organic matter somewhere, you bring it to a location, you pile it up, you turn it over a couple of times, then you load it back up in a piece of equipment and you haul it back out to where you wanted it in the first place. Doesn't it seem like a lot of work? So we don't do that. The only place where we make compost is here in the chicken coop, where we throw kitchen scraps over the top, throw in some old hay, some weeds from the garden, everything's right here, right close. And the chickens scratch it all up. They shred it into small pieces. They eat some of it. They eat the bugs off of it. They manure it, and they kind of work it all the way down here. And you see this pit, and you see how the level of the material in the pit is now sunken down. At the end of the summer, it was probably up about this high, and it's all just as it's decomposed, it gets lower and lower and lower. And then at a certain point in time, the chickens start digging after worms. Have you ever seen chickens dig tunnels? And guaranteed they're eating worms. So they're getting extra feed from that. They're doing what they like to do with scratching. They're getting their minerals and the grit from the soil and all that. And so now we don't. It's funny because now we haven't been in the habit of actively composting our food scraps. So now what do? We got this like garbage thrown on the ground. It's like something's missing. But one of the things that the stacking helps with. You try to get as much accomplished, like with the chickens taking care of our compost. They're doing the shredding, they're doing the turning, the aeration of the pile, adding the manure at the right amounts. We're trying to put things in relationship to one another, trying to design the system so that it runs as efficiently, as effectively as possible for the least amount of work. And a great kind of way to explain it is like I wake up in the morning. When it comes to having my daily constitutional, I'm a morning person. So I grab the compost bucket, and I come outside. We have a composting toilet in the house, but the state code is such that you can have a composting toilet, but it can't be a primary septic disposal system. So we have a vault privy, like one of those things that you go to at a state park, it's a big concrete tank, and you just crap in the tank. So I come out in the morning, I set the compost bucket down as I'm on my way to the outhouse. The dogs or the cats, whoever hears me first, separate any meat scraps from the kitchen waste. We used to be vegetarians when we came here. Now we're bloodthirsty carnivores. All grass-fed, raised on the farm, sort of thing. So the animals, the cats, which keep our rodent populations down around the house, and the dogs, which keep the foxes and the coyotes and the raccoons away from the other livestock, separate the meat from the vegetable matter. I go to the bathroom and I pick up the compost bucket. I come over here. I dump the compost to the chickens, so they're taking care of the composting part. And then in the back of the shed, the door is open and it's a mess in here because we haven't been actively being here. We've got supplemental feed in there. We do livestock seasonally, hogs and cattle. And I have some supplemental feed, so they're always accustomed to coming to me because I'm the goodie man. And so I can stand here and not even move more than 10 feet and take care of cattle, hogs, chickens, rabbits. And then I go in and I collect eggs. Come back here, you see these logs? These are shiitake, inoculated with shiitake mushrooms. So I cut some mushrooms, I get some eggs, I go down there, I walk through the garden on the way back, picking whatever it is that's going to go in my omelet, and then I have breakfast. So just because I had to go to the bathroom, I fed the cats, fed the dogs, fed the chickens, fed the cattle, the hogs, the rabbit, got eggs, got mushrooms, harvested the garden, and got breakfast ready, just because I had to poop. But if we had designed it differently, whereas the garden's over there, and you've seen the places where people have their garden, you have to go to the garden as a special trip to go to the garden to take care of the garden. Well, then this is over here, and you have to go to this place to do whatever the different functions are, and they're not connected in beneficial ways.
Mark Shepard's home is totally off the grid. It's not connected to anything. No sewer, no water. He uses a wood stove burner to heat his home.
House is completely off the grid. You know, we don't call it owner built, it's owner building. Anybody who's ever built or in the process of building their own home, they know it's never finished, so we don't call it a built home, it's an owner building home.
Owner building.
Right? And you know, it's so great. So many people say, oh gee, I'd love to be off grid, you know, how do we go about doing it? Pull the plug. Pull the plug, stop. What do you need as a human being? Do you need electricity? Human beings have lived without electricity for zillions of years. Pull the plug and then say, well, what do we really want? Our first thing we wanted was a light bulb. So we started with a car battery, a little solar panel like this, and a light bulb. Then it's like, you know, it'd be really nice to have something to refrigerate our food. And then we're like, well, wait a minute, maybe we would like something to freeze food so we could store it through the winter and then put it in coolers in the house. So we went from a light to a freezer to tunes. We had to have our tunes. And then now we've got everything under the sun. We've got it all. We've got blenders and lots of amplifiers. Lots of amplifiers. We do a lot of music. Right, Hubert? And computers.
So how do you power it? Just from
little windmill and solar panels. You can see a couple of them on the. And it's not hooked up yet, but we have because we have too much electricity now. We're producing more electricity than we're consuming. And so for right now, the solar panels are off. And the electricity is being generated, but it's not going anywhere. Because we don't want to overcharge the batteries. Well, we have a charge controller that will take a windmill and solar panels, combine it, charge the batteries. If the batteries are too full, then it sends excess electricity to a hot water heater. So right now, we would be heating water, you know, basically free of charge.
Magnetic disturbance might cause it. No, I just can't account for it.